How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? My name is RUFFLEDLIVE, and welcome back to a brand new video, guys. Today, we're going to be taking a look at some Pokemon rumors that have popped up, as well as leaks. First things first, I want to point out that if you guys have seen this video I made, as well as a bunch of other people have covered as well, about Sprigatito's leaked evolution, turns out that one was actually faked, which is mad props to whoever faked it, because it was really well made, but apparently a bunch of people came out and said it's fake. Again, I haven't really kept up exactly with all of it, but nonetheless, if you know what I'm talking about, it's from the previous video. Nonetheless, let's get into the new info. So this is coming to us from Soul Silver Art, who's been breaking down a bunch of the information from all the leakers. He's a leak analyst, so he's been going through all of this, and he's been talking to people like Riddler, who's a genuine leaker with real information, and here's what he has to say. So based on everything that Koo said, there are technically only two forms in Scarlet and Violet. The GIMMICKS forms, so the gimmick would be the crystal one for all Pokemon, and two regional forms. The Time Warp Pokemon and R Fakes are two separate categories of brand new Pokemon that both look like old Pokemon but in different ways. So basically what they're saying here is we have four different things. We have the gimmick forms, so that would be like the crystal Pokemon, whatever you want to call them, all those kinds of things, right? We have the crystal Pokemon type thing. So that's number one. On one end of the spectrum. Then you have regional forms. These are regular regional forms, Alola forms, Galar forms, you know, the stuff you're kind of used to by now, you know, like Alolan Rattata, for example, right? So that's the second one. The third one is these time warped Pokemon. So Pokemon that have come from different time periods, more or less, but that look, you know, similar to other Pokemon we know of, right? So it could be a Pokemon that maybe, you know, looks like Primeape, but it isn't Primeape, right? In some way or shape. And R Fakes, which are two separate categories of brand new Pokemon. So one of these, you know, could maybe be from the past and one from the future that both look like old Pokemon, but in different ways. And here we can see some of the information about this. So Hella Thick Casper here asked, so forms will be completely new Pokemon, lame, no? Question mark. He says, I think it's lame, but some might like it. That's fine. So fair enough. Then he says here, Lumios asked him, shout out to Lumios by the way, can you tell us if those new concepts are new forms or new Pokemon? The inferior leaker has made that also very confusing. And then he says, new Pokemon, yeah, they took too many index numbers, pretty lame, but still a new concept design anyways. So basically it's like this. Instead of it being a hypothetical brand new Pokemon, so like instead of it being like a whole brand new Pokemon, they're basically taking an existing Pokemon, made a fake version of it, literally a fake version of that Pokemon, and that Pokemon literally counts as a brand new one, except it isn't technically a brand new one. Do you kind of get what I mean? It's literally a fake Pokemon. It's a Pokemon that does exist but also doesn't exist at the same time. Well, I mean, it literally does exist within the world, but it's like, you know, it isn't a form. It's a brand new Pokemon, but it looks identical almost to an existing Pokemon. It's very confusing nonetheless, but basically it's like regional forms, but they're not regional forms, and they'll count as brand new Pokemon instead. So basically in the game you could have a, you know, Zubat, but also a fake Zubat, if that makes any sense, which is quite confusing. And even here, down here, Soul Silver actually kind of wrote down a bit of a list saying the gimmick's a little more clear now, but there's also confusion on what the forms are in Scarlet and Violet. By the way, Kaka and Koo, we have to figure out which is real of these options. One main gimmick, all Pokemon. Number two, main gimmick specific Pokemon. 3, Time Warp Pokemon. 4, R Fakes. 5, the new Mega concept. 6, regional forms, or I guess that's what he's referring to here. And number 7, alphas. So there's literally a plethora of these things that we've been trying to figure out here. And here's what it says though. So Time Warp Pokemon could basically be past and future Pokemon. We've only seen 2 ancient ones, the Jigglypuff and the Among Us, or Among Us. They are totally different Pokemon than their present-day evolutions. I see them as literal ancestors of our present-day versions, so they're similar but separate. Basically, yes, it can look like Among Us, it can look like Jigglypuff, but they're not those literal Pokemon. They're kind of ancestors of them in some way or shape, almost like the, you know, like, I don't know, the original versions of them, right? Basically, they were the original Pokemon that over time became a whole different Pokemon that still shares many traits with its ancestors. Clearly, and this is actually interesting because this is one thing that we always assumed, always thought early on, that Koraidon and Miraidon were either the same Pokemon that are from different time periods, but we never took into the, nobody besides Soul took into, account the fact that, oh, maybe they kind of are the same Pokemon, but this is like an ancient, one is an ancient version of it, and one is the present day version of it, right? Or future version of it, doesn't really matter. But basically, they were the original Pokemon that over time became a whole different Pokemon that still shares many traits. So literally an evolutionary, like, kind of, you know, line almost, with its ancestors. Clearly, there will also be a futuristic Pokemon that function the same way, but from the future. Maybe they will be fully cyborg or an advanced evolution of our present day version. Basically, our present-day version becomes the ancestor to the future version, so the cycle keeps going. We still don't know how these new Pokemon will affect battles, like Who said. They would just, they would, but I don't think any of them will evolve. Which here's what it basically Ku said about this. To make it more clear, one of the gimmicks used in Gen 9 was teased. Nearly all of the important NPCs will use it in the game, and the other one is the so-called new concept, which will also influence battles somehow, some way. R-Fake is also another new concept, but more like the officially teased memes, so it's all confusing a bit. But he says here, since a Evo would be these Pokemon becoming more like our present-day versions, maybe they only warp in battle, like you use a present Jigglypuff in battle, but then you time warp to this new Pokemon, so definitely no Evos. This is what connects to what Ku said about they are like Ultra Beast, UBs. We can learn a lot more from this too. Where somebody asked him, are the new concepts and R-Fakes completely separate? What's the difference between the two? New concept mons are gathering in groups. You can consult with UB. R-Fakes are not among them, though they are all new Pokemon. So the new concept, I guess, similar to Ultra Beasts, are fakes separate. Kind of confusing. More from this too. In base Sun and Moon, there were 7 Ultra Beasts, 4 of which were version exclusive. Sadly, I think this will almost exactly be the case. A lower number of them, and some, if not all, are version exclusive. Scarlet equals past, and Violet equals future. Then we move on to R fakes. These are totally different than what we heard above, but similar, as in they will look almost identical to another known Pokemon, and there will only be a few of them. So basically, we have something similar to Ultra Beasts. We have these fake Pokemon that look like other Pokemon. We have crystal forms, and we have regional forms in their regular shape, right? There we go. So either way, he says, look identical to other Pokemon, there'll be only a few of them. Now, we don't know what causes the R-Fakes, but I imagine it's not like the regional forms. It's a variation of regional forms, if you will. So basically, somebody asked him here, like, you know, there was the like talk about like this idea of like a Diglett of some shape, and he says, correct, eels, not looks like, just the same. The Diglett, and somebody said here, the Diglett R-Fake could just be a water Pokemon that acts like a water surge sprouting from the ground with a face that looks like Diglett on it. It's totally water, just looks and behaves like Diglett. It says, correct, eels, not looks like, just the same. Basically, it is a Diglett, but not at the same time. It's from the past, like so far back in time, and so far, you know, set in one time period that it isn't the same thing anymore. The same way that if you look at, like, hypothetically speaking, let me give you an example. If you look at, like, today's, like, I don't know, cats, right? You can, like, sure, you can make a connection to cats and, like, lions or, well, you know, just larger, you know, wild cats that used to exist in the past, right? Which, you know, then were domesticated to become our regular cats today. If you, you know, look at them, you can be like, oh, yeah, they're similar, but they're, you know, they technically are the same, but not at the same time, because those past versions that existed in the past, like literal things that, you know, like the cats that existed back in the day, which were just larger, you know, more, let's say, aggressive creatures, right? Aggressive animals. Those were not domesticated. Humans domesticated them over time, and they changed so drastically that they're indistinguishable from, you know, what they really were in the past, right? Think of like a bobcat versus a regular cat. Two different things, right? Still technically the same if you think about it, but not at the same time. So in this case, it's like, yes, it's a Diglett, but not at the same time. It's got a different name. It's a different thing. It's a different creature at the end of the day, but it is kind of like a past version of it that has, you know, that is what it looked like before. Over many, many, many years of evolution, it changed into whatever it is today, right? So basically, we'll continue down here. Diglett is the one we know of. The easiest way to put it is that Diglett is based off of a mole, which is an animal, right, that digs. This fake will instead be based off of an eel, but still looks just like Diglett. So it's not a mole anymore, but an eel with Diglett's face. Apparently, these are all memeable Gen 1 Pokemon. So here's what it says right here, which is we can speculate the other few are fakes with the same logic in Gen 1. Have fun. So I don't know. And then he kind of went into it here. Okay, time to work together. You know, what are the most memed Gen 1 Pokemon? In doing this, we might be able to guess another handful of Pokemon that might be getting this feature. Lastly, this also means there will be no special gimmick forms for specific Pokemon, like many have assumed. Something had to be cut. We had way too many options. Instead, every Pokemon will become somewhat crystallized and gain that type crown when using the gimmick. Here's a simple, I guess, you know, description. Basically, regional fakes are like Pokemon memes made canon, while these past and future forms are brand new Pokemon that are once or will be part of the biological history of certain Pokemon, right? So basically, they're like a past connection to the present ones, right? So here's what he says. Hope this clears everything up. The art below describes it all perfectly, in my opinion. And basically, 1 is the gimmick, right? So that's crystal Pokemon, crystal forms. 2 is regional forms, right? RFs, just regular regional forms. 3 is time-warped Pokemon. So these are Pokemon that come from different points of time. Our fakes are Pokemon that literally look like other Pokemon, but, you know, are going to just function in, you know, they basically look like other Pokemon, but they're not those Pokemon. They're just kind of, you know, a split-off original version of it, so to say. And remember, the time-warped Pokemon are similar to kind of Ultra Beasts in this case. And then Alphas, which is something that was, like, specifically from Kaka in this case, which is what he said here. Is what he said when I asked, are there alpha boss Pokemon? It's difficult to call an alpha Pokemon, you know, for what it says in English. But here is kind of a image that more or less kind of symbolizes this. So you basically have, you know, the crystal, you've got the ancient, you know, like Pokemon, and then you have the meme Diglett lookalike type thing, right? So there's many different versions, but I think that's a bit of a general breakdown. Here's also a version from none else than Central Leaks, who kind of summarized this information as well. So this is our current understanding of the 3 gimmicks introduced in Gen 9. Crystallization, which is used by most NPCs, changes the look of your Pokemon and boosts a specific type that you can choose. So it gains an additional stab, basically. It's activated by using an object. You can see right here, this Pokemon, whatever this thing is using this crystal feature and crystallizing itself, probably using a poison typing, just based on the, you know, giant purple skull that looks very menacing and evil. Then we have the ancient and future Pokemon clones. So far, only ancient clones are confirmed, as the source has played Scarlet. Consists on ancient and future forms of existing Pokemon. However, they get their own Pokédex number and name and are brand new Pokemon and not just forms. So these are brand new Pokemon that look very similar, or kind of ancient versions, or something along those lines, of basically existing Pokemon. Then we have regional fakes, yet another type of clone. These are a small group of new Pokemon that, for meme reasons, look ridiculously similar to existing Pokemon. For example, Diglett apparently has a water-type clone and/or fake, and the eel that behaves, you know, and whose face looks like Diglett, right? So it acts like a Diglett, but it isn't a Diglett. It's basically a fake Pokemon that mimics and tries to look like another Pokemon. So that's what this, you know, third feature is, which is getting a bit ridiculous. And of course, regional forms and regional evolutions are still there. This is the generation of clones. So a lot of repeated Pokemon. This is giving me a little bit of Gen 5 vibes, I'm not gonna lie, because Gen 5 did that whole thing where they decided to straight up, like, just kind of one-to-one recreate a lot of existing Pokemon IDs and just kind of like soft reboot the series in a sense. It's giving me a similar vibe, not a full-on reboot type vibe, but it's giving me a similar feeling, if that makes any sense, which I want to know what you guys think about all of this, because I'm going to be saying it like this, okay? The way I see this is, we have the crystal forms, we have the Ultra Beast type thing, so they're not Ultra Beast, but something similar to that. We have the regional regular forms, right? We have the regional fakes, which are obviously, you know, kind of the literal fake Pokemon, clones of certain Pokemon. And of course we have, you know, I mean, the crystallization itself, right? So all of that, it's a lot, okay? It's a lot of stuff. It's a lot of information, I'm not gonna lie. It is quite a lot to break down and, you know, like, understand it. Even here, like, even the Riddler said, I like this drawing because it more or less gives you a bit of a general idea. So yeah, but also here, like, I assume this was a Cradilly, by the way, or like, what do you call it? Oh, a Lileep, actually, in my opinion. But yeah, Cradilly takes form with crystal form. You guys can see right there, it gets like, it becomes crystallized. And I think, as far as I understand, every Pokemon can do this. Every Pokemon gets this crystallization. Now, how that would look like, if that's going to just be an aura or whatever, it's hard to tell just right now, because we don't know what this, like, Pokemon with the crystallization actually truly looks like. The only thing we have is literally that one image. We don't know what it looks like in a regular situation. And then, of course, course, I think the interesting ones are the ancient version Pokemon, like the ancient Jigglypuff and the ancient whatever, as well as the meme, like, fake Pokemon clones or whatever that look similar to another Pokemon but aren't literally the same Pokemon. Why separate those? Why did they do that? It seems a little bit strange. I get it that this game, right, they have to include a lot of content to make sure people will stick around and actually play it and enjoy it for a long time. And also, it's an open world game, so you have to fill it with content. But why, like, not just make a bunch of regular brand new Pokemon is what I don't understand. I don't mind this idea, but I do think a lot of people will be somewhat disappointed that they just didn't give us a bunch of brand new off the bat Pokemon if instead they're going to fill the game up. Like, let's say hypothetically there are like 100 new Pokemon as an example. If you realistically look at, you got to remove out of those 100, already remove 9 of those just for the starters, because that's already standard. And then remove like another maybe like 10 or so or 15 or so Pokemon that are just like the basic stuff, like Lechonk, a regional bird, a regional, like, Pikachu clone, etc. Take those out of the equation and you're already down, and you don't really have a lot of numbers to work with if you have multiple, like, 3-stage Pokemon, lanes or whatever. And on top of that, including that 100 new Pokemon, if you include in that the regional forms, you run out of space very quickly. So if you're going to fill it in, that, like, let's say hypothetically the 100 new Pokemon with these clone Pokemon, as well as these, like, regional, like, so the regional fakes, which are the clones, the ancient forms, the Ultra Beast, whatever the hell they are, the Time Warp Pokemon, which I don't know if they're separate from the ancient ones. It's not really clear. And then as well as, like, the fact that we have the crystallizing stuff. It's a little bit of everything. Plus the idea of there being alpha Pokemon. I do wonder how that's all going to work. So, ladies and gentlemen, again, your thoughts and opinions would be appreciated in the comment section down below, because this is getting quite complicated to understand at this point. Okay, it's getting a little bit confusing, to say the least. So your thoughts and opinions would be appreciated. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace out.